Felicity Huffman's upcoming role in Doc promises to spice up her character in one particular way that Desperate Housewives never quite did. Doc is one of few shows to have actually increased its ratings since its premiere, but many viewers remain on the fence. With its apparent new shift toward housewife-style mystery and intrigue, Doc Season 2 can change that. Despite her sizable body of work, many fans know Huffman primarily for her role as one of Desperate Housewives' best characters. Lynette was arguably the most hardworking and relatable mother in the series, but a little discussed drawback to those virtues can finally be rectified now that Huffman's stepping in to fill a void left after the Doc Season 1 finale. Doc Season 2 casts Felicity Huffman as an old-school broad with a juicy secret. Felicity Huffman as Dr. Joan Ridley in Doc. It was presumed when her casting was announced that she'd be taking Richard's position at the hospital, but Felicity Huffman's Doc Season 2 character description further reveals that Dr. Joan Ridley shares a complicated history with Amy and is currently motivated by secret ambitions. Although not stated outright, it seems implied that this secret may involve her and Amy's past. Even without this mysterious hook, Ridley already sounds like the perfect character for Huffman. The description of Joan as an old-school broad comes from the doctor herself, and her deep appreciation for steak and whiskey gives her an edge that distinguishes her from other Doc characters. Replace her Marlboros with a cigar, and she'd be Ron Swanson with a stethoscope. She can evidently be about as straightforward as well, albeit with enough charisma that she rarely finds volume necessary for getting her point across. Ridley's devilish sense of humor is what truly sets her apart from the rest of Doc's cast, as the series' characters rarely get a moment of levity before diving back into personal and professional melodrama. After Richard Miller's suspension, one of the biggest questions left by Doc Season 1 was how the series would go about replacing him. Huffman's Ridley sounds like a substantially more entertaining boss than Richard was, but it's her slight similarities to Desperate Housewives Lynette that highlight why their differences are what make Joan Ridley sound even more exciting to watch. Joan Ridley is a delicious role reversal from Desperate Housewives Lynette Scavo. Desperate Housewives, Lynette and Tom in the kitchen, she holds a baby and he sits down. Huffman's performance alone is enough to leave an impression, but Lynette's also remarkable because her character was essentially designed to give a voice to hardworking mothers who sometimes resent the role. She pulls few punches, openly stating to anybody who will listen that she never wanted kids and often feels angry about the chaotic effects they've had on her lifestyle. But she can also be one of the most relatable characters in the show because she demonstrates layers that make sense for her character. Perhaps motherhood wasn't her preference, but she can go from resenting her children to crying when her kid's imaginary friend is pancaked by a garbage truck. Her regrets, while numerous, haven't deprived her of basic empathy. However, while Lynette gets in some nice one-liners, her values sometimes keep her out of the fun. She'll occasionally get shot, kick down a door, or help hide a dead body, but she's generally honest enough that she doesn't get too many scandals of her own. Lynette's largely adjacent to some of the juiciest among Desperate Housewives' controversial storylines. Dr. Ridley is a bit different. Children clearly haven't hampered her career ambitions, and Huffman gets to play a fun character who truly stands at the center of her own scandalous secrets. After Tom and Lynette's Desperate Housewives feuds taking up a great deal of her character's screen time, Huffman's latest return to network TV offers a nice change of pace. Felicity Huffman's character is the refreshing addition Doc Season 2 needs most. Scott Wolf as Richard Miller in Doc. Although her relationship with Amy is described as being built on several complex layers, the references to Ridley's ambitions and deceit suggest that she could become the new Doc Season 2 villain. And, after Richard Miller spent most of Doc Season 1 stewing in his own self-pity, a hard-edged villain with a sense of humor is precisely what Doc needs. Richard's character arc is compelling on paper. He made a horrible mistake, dealt with it in the entirely wrong way, and then convinced himself that coming clean was not an option. But watching him feel sorry for himself while trying to end a trauma victim's career didn't make him easy to sympathize with. He's lucky that he only got suspended. On top of that, Richard's self-pity felt heavy-handed when the other main storylines involved a traumatic brain injury, a dead child, and Doc's adulterous love rectangle. Richard felt like yet another character whose sole job was to make the audience feel sad, whereas Ridley's character description already promises to give viewers additional reasons to become invested in her story arc. It's great to see Felicity Huffman star in a network series so long after Desperate Housewives, and hopefully her return will be strong to generate interest in adding Huffman to the reboot. But even if not, Huffman's Doc role could be just the deliciously juicy character the show needs to pick up a few extra fans in its sophomore season.